You're probably wondering why I'm down in a basement. Long story short, there are displacer beasts upstairs. And quite frankly, I'm a bit terrified to go after them. So I'm down here hiding from them. I apologize for any ambient noise in the background, but ultimately, the little petty concerns of my life are not your concerns. So, hello everyone and welcome back to TCOV Productions. I am the Dungeon Eskimo, here to say, if you had told me that there was going to be an action movie with Michael Cera kicking all sorts of ass, I would have laughed at your face. A lot. But then I saw Scott Pilgrim. This movie is awesome. Seriously, this is one of the most fun movies I've seen in a long while. And ironically, I saw it on the same night that I went to see Expendables, and I'm very glad that I saw Scott Pilgrim second, because if I'd seen Expendables first, I would have left the theater disappointed. But that is a review for another time. I'm speaking of Scott Pilgrim, which, as I said, is awesome. A close personal friend of mine and fellow YouTuber, Zach to the Present, made the point of saying that it'll be difficult to get non-nerds into the theaters on this one, but once they're there, they'll have a good time with it. I kind of have to disagree with him on this one. There are some movies, like, at the risk of sounding cliched here, Citizen Kane, which, if you don't appreciate on some level, you don't understand movies. I'm sorry, but you just don't get it. You're missing something. You know, I'm not meaning to be a cinema snob here, but it's true. Scott Pilgrim is not one of those movies. It's a... Oh, shut up. Anyway, Scott Pilgrim is a movie that is very much specific to a kind of demographic. Now, here's the thing. I'm not a comic book person, or graphic novel person, or anything like that. It's just not my cup of tea. And I'm still able to enjoy plenty of mainstream, comic book movies. You know, Spider-Man, the Batman franchise, obviously, is awesome. Iron Man, I've liked the Iron Man movies. But occasionally, you'll see moments of fan service there, and those moments are just kind of awkward. It's like receiving a birthday present that was intended for someone else. You're able to see that someone will see value in this one, but you just can't appreciate it. It's just a little weird. I never got that with Scott Pilgrim. And this has got to be like the first comic book movie that I've ever seen that makes me really, really want to read the books. For those of you who don't know, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is about a guy named Scott Pilgrim, a Canadian named Scott Pilgrim, who, and played by Michael Cera, who starts going out with this girl named Ramona, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and basically, in order to gain her affections or whatever, he has to fight off her 7 evil exes. And so, essentially, the movie's rotating around a love story, essentially, and a badass love story as well. I mean, seriously, this is the most action-packed love story you'll ever see. And for people who want realism, this is not your movie at all. You know, this... it isn't. at first I thought it was just going to be kind of, kind of these little references and stuff, like when the doorbell rings, or like a phone rings or whatever, like the word ring will appear beside their head. When characters are first introduced, they'll have like these little name boxes that show up next to them, and stuff. And I thought, okay, so that's gonna kind of be the storyline of this movie, or the style of this movie rather. But then the first Evil X shows up, and the Scott, who is, has not shown any kind of unbelievable power at this point, just beats the crap out of this guy, all for the sake of Ramona. So, wait a minute. Could this be a turning point for Michael Cera? I mean, seriously, could he be moving from the role of, the geek meets girl, plucky protagonist to the underdog superhero? No, he's not. Scott Pilgrim is yet another very Michael Cera type character. Except for the fact that he can beat the shit out of you. And he does, to a lot of people. It's kind of, there's a lot of action in it, and you'd think that a movie with 7, or rather, well, yeah, I guess there are 7 ultimately. I'll just tell you, two of the Evil X's, they're twins. He battles them at once, but then the final one he battles twice. So it's these 7 really drawn out action scenes, and you'd be thinking, well, damn, that's gonna really bog down the storyline with a lot of needless action. I mean, you think of like movies like really popular action movies like the Bourne movies. Those fights are over like that, Some of those fights will only last for a couple of seconds, These are drawn out over, a couple of minutes. But it's not, because it's really entertaining and it's really funny. And, though I didn't think of this comparison at first, if you like anime, you'll probably really, really like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, because it has that same sort of hyper-reality where there are all these bizarre things happening and no one really questions it.